All right, all right.
Good
Good to
morning.
see
Good
you.
morning. It's Saturday morning, and I got Pterodome over here. Hopefully, you guys got a cup of coffee. We're starting just a little earlier today. Maybe give you a little bit more information. Maybe a little bit more juice for your morning, if so. Thank you first off for coming. We appreciate you, and let's get into this. Pterodome, what's your thoughts of this morning? How are you doing?
Doing pretty wonderful. My wife and I worked out. Well, she worked out a great deal, and I was there being the supervisor, trainer slash masseuse. So we rubbed her down, and then we just watched some great Apple TV. Kevin Durant has a series called Swagger on Apple. It has O'Shea Jackson Jr. and a young man named Isaiah Hill, and it's kind of a adaptation a little bit of his life in the DMV and playing at a prep school. It's really, really well done, well shot. And before that, we watched Hijack featuring Idris Elba on Apple TV too. Man, those two. If you get a chance, check out both of those series. They're really, really well done. Big budget action. Good stuff.
All right, so the movie we watched last night, and we watched it almost twice now. We're big fans. You know me. You see my icon. I'm a Batman nut. So we were watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3 last night.
All
And
right.
oh man, like the first movie. So I got into this watching the second movie. And knowing comic books, I didn't know too much about the Guardians of the Galaxy. They weren't like the biggest, group out there, but I knew that there was some fun about them. So, and I know the crew has changed, the characters in the group, it's not always like the same team. So it depends on what, you're looking at. It's kind of like the X-Men's, they come and
Yeah.
they go. So watching it, I started watching the second one and I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool, and like at the end, like sometimes hey, I will cry at a movie. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be honest. It's just one of those things.
Emotional
Um,
cat. It's cool.
yeah, but I just got to do it, like, so I'm watching the movie. At the end of the movie, if you've seen the second movie, it's a very beautiful ending. There's I'm not going to ruin it, but there's fireworks. All right, there's definitely
Oh,
fireworks.
okay.
So I go and watch the first movie, after the second movie, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, now I really like the second movie. I like the first movie. Now I don't know if I like the first or second better. So it's like almost every time we watch it, we start from the first to second, and then here comes the third movie, and I am like, I like it. I can see where they went with it. So we watched it, and then we watched it again last night, and it's just one of those things. It's always fun to be able to
Yeah.
sit down and watch a show with your family, and
Oh yeah.
no, it's not something that you got to send the girls away or pause because hey, we all like those shows too, but sometimes you just can't watch them with the kiddos, and you really should never watch that with the kiddos. So
Yeah.
it's nice.
Good family movies and family shows. They they're pretty special, man. Because the stuff out nowadays is it's just I can't have the grandkids sit and watch that or my mom.
No, no,
So
you can't.
so when you get them, you got to really love them and make the best of them. And it
Yeah,
sounds like you're vested in the franchise now. You're all about Guardians of the Galaxy. You know the characters inside and out now, right?
let me bring in David.
Hey, Dave.
Morning.
So I am definitely invested. There's a Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. I have them.
Yeah, he's real.
If you like the movie, you might catch some of the songs, and some of the songs they're not outplayed. They haven't been played for maybe a little while. They're catchy tunes. Like it's just I'm gonna send you like the copy of the soundtrack later, so you're gonna know like almost every person on this thing, and like it's something that you can listen to, drive down the road when you're on a trip. And again, wholesome songs. It's not stuff that's saying this and that. And you got to have your kids hold their ears. So. Well, hey, good morning, David. Thank you for coming. How's your morning starting out?
Oh, pretty good. Not going bad. Woke up, started drinking some coffee. Woke up late, but
Hey, waking up is the most important thing, you know.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. You never want to wake up dead.
some people say when you wake up late, you know, that's not late. That's waking up on their time, you know. So, you know, everybody else has to adjust, you know. So, anytime you can make it, you know, you're not late. You're on time. You're here. So, this morning we are going to talk. We got another friend coming in. Oh, this is going to be fun.
There he is.
So to let everybody know, I'm gonna try to say it as softly as possible. The Hall of Fame came in, has been voted. The people are being inducted. I believe they're being inducted today. So the ceremony should be happening today, if I'm correct. But our guy, Superman, I'm a little upset. I'm gonna bring this up because I talked about it last time and I wasn't able to find the picture. So I cropped it this time. It's not the best picture, so bear with me, folks. But if you've seen this guy or if you know these numbers, you know why we call him Superman.
Incredible guy. Incredible guy.
So this is Roger Craig, everyone. If you don't know, I'm sorry, but we're going to tell you a lot about him today. So Roger Craig is the man. He's not a myth, but he is a legend. He is the first one to have 1,000 yards receiving and rushing. He's the first man to score 3 touchdowns in a Super Bowl. He was on the 49ers for 8 consecutive years. He is the ultimate weapon. He is Superman. And I don't, there's no kryptonite out there that can stop Roger Craig. Roger Craig wants that rock, and he's going for the end zone. So, you guys, I'm going to pull it up here in a couple minutes of who all went into the Hall of Fame. And, you know, everybody deserves their own accolades and their own, praise, right? We all want to see people, be celebrated, right? And nobody wants a participation trophy, so not everybody gets into the Hall of Fame. But we are going to run down the list of the people that made it to the Hall of Fame, and I want somebody to tell me why Roger Craig didn't get in. We're going to bring in Twin real quick.
Twin.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here with you. Romans, Catholics, lend me your ears.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, what my man say, Terry? Good morning.
I remember what said, Merry New Year.
How y'all doing, man?
Good. We go cut up.
So let's pass it to Pterodome while I'm putting up the banner of everybody's names that got inducted to the Hall of Fame or going in. And Pterodome, give us a little bit of your thoughts on Roger Craig. Then we're going to go David, Corey, and then Twin. We'll all talk about Roger for a minute while I'm putting up the banner. And then we'll get into who was going into the Hall of Fame and why Roger isn't one of these. So go ahead, Pterodome.
Well, you guys, I am so vested in one Roger Craig, number 33, wearing Superman. I actually put together a clip and put that old Soldier Boy Tell 'em in the background of a clip. I'll try to send that to you. You can play, and I directed it directly to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, man, because on the all-decade team of the 1980s, there were 4 running backs. They were Walter Payton, who's in the Hall of Fame, John Riggins, who's in the Hall of Fame, Eric Dickerson, who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Roger Craig. They all had comparable stats. I think Eric Dickerson just did he was just simply amazing. He was the Pony Express. He was killer. But the thing that separated the great Roger Craig, man, Roger was sitting on 3 rings starting in 84. This was the year before Jerry Rice got there. He was Superman against Miami. And I have to set this up a little bit for everybody to truly understand. When we were going to play those Miami Dolphins in 1984, y'all got to have in mind, Dan Marino was every bit of what y'all view as Patrick Mahomes today. He was it. He was the gold standard and still aesthetically passing and technically passing. He's what people study. We went into that Super Bowl, man, and people really didn't know. People were very, very, very nervous because Dan Marino was tearing it up and he had an incredible gun. But the star of that Super Bowl was one number 33 coming out, high knees, blazing. The Sports Illustrated I can remember that Sports Illustrated with him on the cover scoring with those high knees, man. I think he set a record in that Super Bowl as well. And then we go on in 88 and we go on in 89. He's on those teams as well, man. Just I'm not going to call it a cog, but a very integral part of what the West Coast offense was. Its brilliance, featured by the great Bill Walsh, really honed in on the usage of a running back coming out of the backfield, and with linebackers, he just created such an incredible mismatch. And he was just productive, 1,000 yards and a 1,000 yards receiving, as well as 1,000 yards rushing in one season. You just could count on the guy, man. He was everything you're looking for. A little bit of background: the hill that Jerry Rice is so notable on. It's a 2.5 mile hill near the outskirts of San Francisco, California. Roger Craig introduced Jerry Rice to that hill. They started working out together on that hill first, and it was Jerry, the first time he did it, that looked at Roger and said, "Hey, man, that hill, good Lord, and Jerry had to get a little bit of intestinal fortitude to go back and conquer that hill and then kind of make it his own. But the originator of it was Roger Craig. Incredible work ethic, incredible toughness. And it's the predecessor to what we know as the modern day running back, CMC, Marshall Faulk, Edgerrin James, LaDainian Tomlinson, Alvin Kamara. All of these guys owe a ton of homage to the great Roger Craig, because before that, it was just 3 yards, a cloud of dust, and you were a bell cow running back.
Very well said. And man, that's a lot to go off of right away. Mr. David, what's your thoughts on Roger Craig? Anything that you'd like to add to the conversation? Memories and your thoughts on Roger Superman.
Well, let's start off with the ring factor. He has 3 of them. There's a guy named Terrell Davis that he had a short career. He had 2 rings, and somehow he's in the Hall of Fame. So how's that? But Roger Craig changed the running back position. Back in the day, it was just all they did was run the ball, stay in, and do a little bit of pass blocking. That's all they did. Roger Craig received for 1,000 yards. He showed that the running back position can be way more than just running back. And on top of that, he switched from fullback. He was actually a fullback at the start. And Bill Walsh said, "Why do I got this guy at fullback?" And he switched him to running back. So, I mean, just the fact that he changed the position forever in the NFL, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree. Corey, what's your thoughts on Mr. Roger Craig?
I love me some Roger Craig. He was a running back. I said I would hate to tackle him because of them high knees. You put them high knees right in your chest. Me and my daddy used to watch him and just love watching him because high knees, he get them high knees going. Be like, oh, you don't want to tackle him because them knees are going to that chest. If you get low, you might get a knee to the head. Yeah, I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame. I know everybody say because it's fumble, but how many other people that's in the Hall of Fame right now?
Yeah,
that fumble or through interceptions or did all that. We got Terrell Owens in the Hall of Fame, And this man did a lot of crazy things, a lot of crazy celebrations. He wasn't a, you know, Roger Craig was a role model to me. So I don't understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
I think you mentioned it, and I think it's something that we're going to have to touch on. It's going to be painful, so please, folks, stick around because we won't try to go too deep, but if it might just hurt just a little bit. Twin, what's your thoughts on Mr. Roger Craig?
I mean, what's up? How y'all doing again? Roger is was the truth, like Teradon so eloquently said earlier. He was the prototype of what was to come, what we see now in today's modern NFL. Like, it's not just about being a pure rusher, but also about being having the ability to catch the ball outside the backfield, run in between outside the tackles as well. And he really established himself. I believe that a lot of times people look at, and I'm not even the biggest Tom Brady fan, but I think people don't realize that if you look at the New England Patriots offense over the 20-year span that he was there in New England, we always wonder, how is it in the Super Bowl that this guy, Tom Brady, seems to always make these plays? He used a bevy of running backs. It wasn't one in particular, whether it was a Malloy, whether it was White, whether it was Kevin Falk. Like, he used a lot of these backs in the Super Bowl to catch it out the backfield and to keep the chains moving. Me and my brother, shout out to my bro Law, we used to watch because we didn't like Tom. We like, man, he don't have these great wide receivers early on in his career. How is it that he keeps this ball going forward? And he didn't use these running backs in the regular season like he did in the Super Bowl or during the playoffs. And I try to tell people, like, this is the nuances in football games that we got to realize. You have to adapt to what it is that you're going to see and what it is that you're going to face. Somebody was looking at this entire season. Then when the playoffs come, you switch it up. And Roger Craig was the man who put that in Tom Brady's mind. Because if you know who was his GOAT, was who? Joe Montana. So you know who Tom Brady was watching, right? When he was growing up, he was seeing this dynamic running back come out the backfield. Him and Wendell Taylor, they coming out the backfield. He looking like, oh, I see how Super Bowls are won by Joe Montana. So even then, it goes way after he was, after he retired, so on and so forth, that his ability was still there. It still was inspiring people. It still lasted the test of time and still is today. And then my thing about him not making the Hall of Fame, I'll say, is this. I'm not a Cowboy fan, but this guy by the name of Darren Woodson, he's not a Hall of Famer either. And anybody who watched football know that boy was a bad mamma jamma playing the safety position, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. He got 3 Super Bowl rings. So what I'm going to tell you, this is my analysis. This is my theory. One, their cool, calm personality was one thing. 2, they played on teams that were stacked. I mean stacked. We got to be honest. These teams that we look at, we can pick off multiple Hall of Famers. And so I'll say you got I like music. So you got like Michael Jackson, then you got Randy Jackson, Jermaine Jackson, Tito Jackson, Jesse Jackson, Marley Jackson. You got all these Jacksons, but only the first couple that's going to stand out and get the love and the adulations. And I think this is what happened to Roger Craig. Because he wasn't the real, like, the person you stick on the screen to like promote for real. I think he got left off because of that. That doesn't mean his skills wasn't what they needed to be. That doesn't mean he wasn't a great player. But I believe people do have biasness and people do like to kind of go with who they like the most. Even like Corey was trying to say with T.O., even though his personality may have been one thing, there was no denying for at least 8 years he was the top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. So it's unfortunate he has to wait so long, but I hope that the voters do what they need to do and get this man in because he really established himself. You cannot think of the 80s era without including Roger Craig in it. And so hopefully everything continues to go his way. He can get in there and get that HOF jacket.
Thank you very much. Everyone touched on a little portion of it, and there's so much to get into with Roger Craig. Again, Mr. 80, Mr. 1980, right? Comes in 1984, beats the Miami Dolphins pretty much does it on his own because why? Like you said, Twin, we are not the team like Marino had. We were not wide receivers that ran vertical and threw for 4,000 yards. You want to say it like dink and dunk? No, we're the West Coast offense. They took the ball and they utilized it in the way they could, and they put players in position to perform. And then here it goes. We get, Mr. Jerry Rice coming in a couple years later, and we continue to win. Why? Because we had the pieces in the position before, and we just continue to add. We added to, and that's what we're doing right now. I mean, like best fullback, now we got a really good running back. The only other piece maybe is a quarterback. And, we got to wait to see for that. So let me bring up the banner down below for all the guys that's coming through for the Hall of Fame. And yeah, guys, I mean, it's really sad because I think there is a lot of bias. There's a lot of holdout. Roger Craig, Terradome, maybe you can explain this, but how do we vote for these players? How do they go into the Hall of Fame? I know, like, you can go on Twitter and vote for people on the Pro Bowl, but do we get a chance to vote for the Hall of Fame? And why aren't they reporting to them? Did somebody lose a bet or something? Because this guy, again, 3 Super Bowls. I mean, come on.
I know the Cowboys have an inside track on things. I think it's a bunch of sports writers and they vote on it. Somebody said for me to petition to Matt Miyoko, and I did just that. And anything we can do as I said, is there anything as fans we can do to bolster this up? From my understanding, I know when Jerry went in, there was like a representative from every fan base, every news outlet of the local beat writers of every team. And when you have someone nominating, it usually comes for San Francisco, it's the San Francisco Mercury or whatever the local paper is, and they have to stand up and say why this guy should be nominated to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. With the question being, could the story of football in the professional ranks be told without this person? And if your answer is no, you need this person, you stand up and you make your petition. The lady who was doing it that year that Jerry went, and this was 2010, I actually went up to Canton for Jerry going on. He went in the same year that Emmitt Smith went in. She just stood up and said, Jerry Rice, the greatest receiver of all time, and sat down. And everybody voted. I mean, it was a no-brainer. He was a first ballot guy. But if that, for people who have to have a little bit more and be bolstered, it really lays at the behest of the beat writer or the media people to make the case for him. Because another great one that I thought was, the story couldn't be told without him. Not to bring this up a little bit, but the Dallas Cowboys had Drew Pearson. He went through a lot of this. Drew Pearson in the 70s. Let me tell y'all, I'm gonna be 100% with y'all. I was born in 1970. Those Cowboys in the 70s, those real America's team dudes, those were sweet dude. When you went outside to act like somebody, you acted like either Lynn Swann or you acted like Drew Pearson. You got sweet just like Drew got sweet. He went with the wristbands all the way down his arm. He had a shag. I'm bald now, but when I had a fro, you had to grow your shag out a little bit and let a little bit hang out the back. It had to be like Drew Pearson, and he went through it. He's a Super Bowl winner and an important pivotal piece in the Cowboy organization, and he went through a great deal. I just think I don't know.
Terror. You can't forget the Hail Mary pass.
The Hail Mary.
You cannot tell the story of the National Football League in Hail Mary without the receiver of the Hail Mary. I'm just throwing that in there for context.
Yes, sir.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
When you playing Madden and you down by 6 points and 7 seconds left on the clock. 6 seconds left, and you go hit Hail Mary.
You gotta hit Hail Mary.
You not put this man in the hole? I'm just throwing it, and again, I'm just for context, guys. A play, literally a play.
The
Continue, my
story
guy.
can't be told. The story can't be told. You so right. I'm amening that, and I'm smacking high five for you in the spirit. Yes, and the story couldn't be told without Roger Craig, without the high knees, man. And I know Rams fans just didn't want to see him come. Boy, if y'all could see him run over them Los Angeles Rams, I have sent the my short video to you, Mr. Culp. If you can pump that on up a little bit, man, because you brought up the jersey a little bit, and I hit it about 3 times. Every time Soldier Boy says Superman, y'all just check that on out, man. That's what I got.
So I'm going to give it to David, and I think David knows the answer to this one. Can you tell us, David, who the other 2 players in NFL history who has also had 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing?
Ooh.
Well, I know it's Roger Craig, Marshall Falk. I'm not sure who the third one is. Honestly,
I'm gonna give you a hint. Triple Crown winner.
Triple Crown winner.
CMC.
Oh! Is it CMC?
Yep.
Oh wow.
I was gonna guess LaDainian Tomlinson, but you know.
So CMC, man, he is one of those guys. You know, he can do it. He can really put a team on his back and just carry him. And when we had an opportunity to get him from Stanford a couple years ago, I thought that would have been really, really cool. They didn't get him. But guess what? He went to Carolina. He played with Cam Newton. He really helped Cam Newton out there. I mean, like, it was Cam and him. And again, Superman, right? We all know Cam wants to pull out his shirt and everything. So you got somebody like CMC who's playing like Superman, and we all know Roger Craig's Superman. So that's interesting. And for you guys to bring up all the Cowboys and stuff like that, our beloved Steve Young used to go out there and emulate Roger the Dodger. You know, the guy who made up the what's it called? The Hail Mary.
Yes.
So Cowboys, you guys got the Hail Mary, but the Niners, we developed the alley-oop. RCO and
yes. Oh man, let me hit my bell. A lot of people don't know that. And it was a coach named Hickey, Red Hickey, who invented the shotgun formation, a 49er coach. Just saying.
Let me ask Corey. Corey, with Marshall Falk going into the Hall of Fame, he went into 2011. Can you tell me how many Super Bowl rings he has, or can you tell me, is there really a big difference in Roger Craig and Marshall Falk?
Marshall Falk. How many rings does he have?
I know he's been to 2. I think he only has 1.
Yeah.
I think he only has 1.
No.
Because I don't remember him going 3 times. Like my man Roger Craig. The difference is, I guess, is I think for the Rams, he was their number 1 weapon. Everybody tuned in to Marshall Falk stopping him. You know, like Twin said, 49ers had so many weapons and so many great players. And I think Marshall Falk stood out more. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right. They had Torrey Holt, they had Isaac Bruce, and then the other wide receiver,
Ricky Pro.
Ricky Pro, thank you. And they were the greatest show on turf there, but they were the greatest show because of, I think, Marshall Falk. And yeah, he really, when he came onto their team, he put a wrench in the 49ers season there a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Twin, what's your thoughts on CMC, Marshall Falk, and Roger Craig? And can you break down maybe possibly any differences that you see in their games?
Gotta take my love out of it and be realistic. I think for the time that Marshall Falk was playing, he was considered a top 3 to 5 running back for over a 5 to 7 years period. Not only when he played, like he was drafted in Indianapolis, and then you saw what he did there, was traded to the Rams. You saw what he did there. I think he was dynamic. I think the way that they played offense at the time, he led this team to a Super Bowl. One thing about Joe Montana, that he was already a Super Bowl winner, at the time. So it wasn't like this was his first Super Bowl. He helped him get the second one. I believe that comes into play. And also, I just believe that Marshall Faulk had a little more, I guess I want to say charisma, a little more spaz, you know what I mean? And that does play a role into it as far as marketability. Not saying that Roger wasn't marketable, but at that time, you had already had the Joe Montana, you know what I'm saying, there. The mystique was already there. The nostalgia was already there. And so I believe that's kind of what happened with Marshall Faulk, as far as just him being just a staple of being one of the best backs. And if you look at the numbers, I believe Marshall, as a rusher, averaged about 20 yards per game more, and also touchdowns. One thing we love Jerry Rice for is this. That man caught touchdowns. I'm a big component that, like, we talk about Julio Jones. He's good, but he only has like 60 career touchdowns, which is kind of not that good for a dynamic wide receiver. And so I think that's the same issue that happened with Roger Craig. I think he only had like 56 touchdowns, and Marshall Faulk had like 100. And so the more you get in the end zone, the more that camera kind of pan on you, get a little closer, and you kind of can get a little more glory. And so I believe that's another thing that kind of happened with our guy Roger Craig as well. Just he had to share that spotlight with a lot of other great players, and Marshall Faulk was kind of the one in that offense to kind of open it all the way up, if I may say that. He was the force multiplier of that offense.
Awesome. Not to fact check anybody or anything like that, but he definitely was. From 1998 to 2001, he's retired. He retired as a ninth ranked rusher of all time. He also he had 12,279 yards and scored 100 touchdowns. Dude, you facts, straight facts. He also added 767 career receptions and ranked 16 all time with almost 6,875 yards and 36 touchdowns. So he rushed 100 touchdowns and he caught 36 touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, he definitely belongs in there. So guys, we got a Hall of Famer with 3 rings who should be in, right? And we're just gonna say it because he will be Hall of Fame one day. We're gonna speak this into existence. We got Marshall Faulk, who's been there, to 2 Super Bowls and made it. He's definitely ranked up there pretty high with the statistics. And I think that's also because the league was changing. He was on a different passing type of offense. CMC's now there. He's been to 1 Super Bowl. So if he wins 1 Super Bowl, do you guys think CMC gets in?
Oh, I would hope so. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it kind of seems like you just have to get to the Super Bowl, put up some yards, and win 1 ring, and you get in. So again, whatever they're holding, Craig back. I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm sorry, I gotta do it. Everybody, hopefully you're not, eating anything right away, and this doesn't make you sick. It kind of made me sick earlier, but I gotta do it. This is why he's not getting in, guys. This is it. So again, if you gotta turn your way, David knows what's coming. David knows what's coming. All right, guys.
Oh, come on. Yeah. Guys, I was in a college dorm at Chowan College. We were going for our 3rd straight Super Bowl. And we were going to be the only team to repeat. And those janky New York Giants was in town, man. They just janky. I don't know what it is about the New York Football Giants and us. We just, when it's NFC Championship time, and you saw what's the kid named Kyle Williams? He had a bonehead little fumble. It's just them janky Giants, man. It was LT and Jim Burton them about it in the day. Whenever they showed up, man, they were like that little tiki piece on the Brady Bunch. That Bobby found with, and I know y'all don't watch the Brady Bunch. Music just starts playing when those New York Giants would show up, and we were on our way to a win. I think it was under 2 minutes, and Roger's just running in there, man. It pops out, and LT recovers, and those punks go on to the Super Bowl, and they beat Buffalo. It was the year they beat Buffalo. I didn't even want to watch the Super Bowl that year, man. I just felt sick for about 2 weeks, but it did happen. It if you swing enough, if you're a home run hitter and you hit a lot of home runs, it's sometimes when you're going to strike out. And it's just that the wrongest time to put that ball on the turf. It just came out, and it was a rough day. It was a rough day for the kid. I soaked my feelings in some old English 800 as I was in college in 1990. January was, I remember very well.
David, what's your thoughts, man? Is it this fumble? You know, I mean, Ty Austin, he brings up a good point. You know, if it's the fumble, it's stupid. You know, to hold somebody out because they fumbled. Teardome does bring up a good point. This was the 3
I honestly think I think it's a combination of East Coast bias and the fumble.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know, like Marshall Faulk played for the Indianapolis Colts and the St. Louis Rams. Let's think about that. You know, I believe he was like a 7-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. You know, he played for 11 years. Yeah, he deserves to be in. Terrell Davis, though, he played for 7 years. You know, and he did have a 2,000-yard season. I'll give him that. You know, he did stack up some serious yardage. But you know, Roger Craig was in the league for 10 years and changed the position at running back. He should be in the Hall of Fame. You know, one fumble is just one fumble, even though it had horrible timing. You know, I'll admit that it did. You know, we were looking to three-peat, and that would have been fantastic if we would have been able to pull that off. But Terror Dome makes an excellent point with the Giants. Just you know, they're like a bad penny when it comes to the NFC Championship game. They always seem to turn up on us. You know, it's like, but yeah, that 2011 game. You know, and a lot of things happened in that game that could have went different. I don't ever blame one player. You know, and that's just the truth. A lot of things can happen, like the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. A lot of people blame that one throw, but if you watch that play, Emmanuel Mosley didn't think he was going to get the ball. He slowed down a little bit. So, yeah. But there's quite a few more plays in that one play that could have went different, you know. And there's a whole game, right? But Roger Craig 100% deserves to be in the Hall of Fame just for what he did for the running back position. You know,
sure.
His numbers, he was on a pass-happy team, West Coast offense. So did you expect him to stack up 20,000 rushing yards, you know?
That's a good point. Corey, what's your thoughts? You see the ball, you see where he's at. It went right through his arms, rolled up, I don't know, like popped out his arms and like fell on his back and rolled off his butt. If you look at it, the Giants player's right there in front of him, right? I can't tell you for sure, but it looks like he's getting hit in the groin or just got hit in the groin. I know if I got hit in the groin, I'd be dropping that. So what's your thoughts? I mean, I hate the Giants. I like them for them being their own football team. I don't hate the fans and stuff, but when we go to play them in the playoffs, I don't want to play the Giants in the playoffs. I don't want to play the Giants in the playoffs. I want to beat them, you know, but it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened for a while now. And when we have to play them, the only game that I remember us beating was the 2003 playoff game. Jeremy Shockey was on the Giants, and I think we were playing against Kerry. Was it Kerry Collins? Terry Collins.
Yeah, it was Kerry. Yeah,
and we got lucky with that game. At the end, there was a penalty at the end of the game. They said we pulled him down. They said that there was a lineman or something down the field, so it kind of like nullified the play.
It took a miracle that day. They were talking junk to me. I was working in DC, and I was working with a lot of New Yorkers, and that game started out horrible. I think we were down 21-20 going into the third. It was a bad day. I was like, well, you know, I was still repping my jersey, y'all. I was still repping like a 9. And we couldn't have a TV in the flight operations center. You had to go and peek and go down the hall and peek a little bit, and go down the hall and peek. And man, we started coming back, and everybody shut the F up when we started tying that one. It was what it I gotta say, it's probably the greatest postseason comeback in 49er history. If you get a chance, go back and see it. It was around 2002, 2003, I think. Yeah, we came back on them. T.O. and the boys. Michael Strahan was on that team. He was talking junk to T.O. because T.O. had scored, and he told T.O., hey, look at the scoreboard. We still beating y'all. Look at the scoreboard. I remember very vividly. And we came back and put it on those Giants, man. It was sweet.
Yeah, if you guys remember, Jeff Garcia didn't have the biggest arm. He could throw the ball, but he couldn't throw the ball the way Owens wanted him to throw the ball, right? So that's why Owens wanted to leave. But Owens caught a post, I believe it was, and he cut in and he scored a touchdown. And the next thing you know, it was on. I think the final score was like 38-37 or something like that. And we did. You know, I remember being in high school, going into school, and my math teacher talking about it and says, okay, you guys know it's all about math, and whoever has the points at the end, you know, that's who's winning. But Corey, give it back to you. What's your thoughts on, you know, this whole situation? You know, Roger Craig fumbled clearly. You know, whether or not he got hit in the groin or not, you got to hold on to the ball. But what's your thoughts? Is it East Coast bias? Do you think he's getting in? What do we have to do? Fly planes over Hall of Fame Stadium? What do we have to do?
This is a fumble. You know, yeah, I was pissed off when the fumble happened. But you got a man that's in the Hall of Fame that leads in interceptions. Throwing interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
He's the leader of that. Brent Favre.
Yep.
He throws. So one fumble to a whole bunch of interceptions, saying that that's keeping him out of the Super Bowl. I just can't see that. I mean, out of Hall of Fame, I just can't see that. You know, this is the reason why you can't go in the Hall of Fame. Because you fumbled the ball. Yes, it was an important ball. But I just can't see that. You know, it's a lot what we're talking about that kept him out on Hall of Fame. Roger Craig should be there. Maybe we need to go march the streets. Roger Craig, Hall of Fame. Roger Craig, Hall of Fame.
Yeah, my man. Corey
Yeah.
Be radical out here, Corey.
That's why I was like, you know, you guys remember, you know, they were flying the planes over Levi's telling Jed York to sell the team. So that's why I'm like, maybe we need to fly planes over the Hall of Fame Stadium, you know, over there in Canton, and, you know, get Roger in. Roger Craig, bring him in or something, you know.
True.
Twin, what's your thoughts? And before you say anything, let me tell you guys real quick. Roger Craig, David's correct, 11 seasons. He played for the Niners, the Vikings, and the Raiders. He had 1,991 yards rushing. He had 8,189 yards rushing. He had 566 catches for 4,911 yards. He scored 73 touchdowns. So even with that, you know, Falk scored 100. This guy scored 27 touchdowns less. He almost scored the same amount of yards, 8,189 yards. He's just like 900, maybe 600 yards short of Falk. The catches are very similar. He had 4 Pro Bowls. He won Offensive Player of the Year, and he has 3 championships. So go ahead, Twin. What's your thoughts? Why can't we get him in, man?
Hey, as I say, politics as usual, man. Again, I think in the 80s, you could say he was a top 10 back. I mean, nobody will argue that. As you first thousand season, as y'all know, we mentioned all these accolades. Again, I think it's timing. It's probably Bay Area sports, like far as media is concerned as well. I hear people from time to time talk about East Coast and West Coast, how the dynamics are different, how one is kind of, you know, East Coast, they loud, they in your face. They really put pressure on you, good or bad. You know what I'm saying? They gonna let you out. They say if the 49ers were doing what we did with our quarterback situation for the last 5 years in the East Coast, bro, it'll be on a whole nother level. But I believe it's just the personalities of both coasts, how they cover sports is one thing, and the writers not necessarily giving the respect that is due, honestly. And after that, I'll have to look at how the years kind of culminate, because that's another thing. Who are the nominees during the time that he was coming in or coming out? I mean, that he was coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want him to go in, but sometimes it's unfortunate. Like you can have, say, a great wide receiver, but when that year that Jerry Rice came, Emmitt Smith came, you could have been a really good player, but you know good and well. Yo, you listen here, bro.
It ain't happening this year,
You know,
baby.
this ain't the year. But when you got like a Ray Lewis coming in, and you got like Avery, hey, bro, this is not the year, or like a Troy Polamalu. And so there's only so many players to come in at one time, and then you get backlogged. So by the time you come in, they've been wanting to get you in, and so now they're trying to go back and reach in history to pull in somebody like a Drew Pearson. And like, I can't vote Roger in, because I still haven't voted Pearson in yet. You see what I'm saying? So now we got to get the votes for him. And then I believe that cycle continues to happen. And it's unfortunate how it goes. But he got kind of mixed up in that crowd where, yes, he should have probably been in earlier. But then when you have great dynamic players come through in the 90s that changed the game, and now instead of him going up to the front of the line, he get pushed back. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that it's right, but I just gotta watch the whole TV. I gotta watch the whole wide view. Gotta be put my wide lens on and not just be a 49er fan, but look at it from a fan of just football and see, okay, what was the dynamics? How did this happen? And that's what I believe what truly did happen. Like, it just one of those situations where it's just unfortunate. But thank God for the people who know football, like for real, understand his impact. And you hear a lot of players saying this. It doesn't matter what the Hall of Fame or the writers say. When I'm around my peers, when I talk to the guys that play football with me, when the guys who play football that are the best of the best, when they sit down and they have a conversation, they mention me or they respect me. They put, like I said, they put some respect on my name. You see what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I think that speaks volume to him. Like, he would love to have the gold jacket, but I'm quite sure he's happy and that he feels extremely supported, loved, and validated, because those boys, like the Joe Montana, is going to speak of what it is that he done. Like the guys like a Jerry Rice, you know what I mean? Like a Charles, like when these guys go in and they're going to say, hey, that guy was the truth.
See,
Man, guys, really well said. Corey, go ahead.
go back to the other picture you just flash off.
This one here with the Raider?
That's what probably keeping them out of the Hall of Fame. I'm just joking. Put it on that sticky uniform.
And then and then look, they looking at that.
You
and
ain't right, Corey. You ain't
right.
right.
Look, they like,
I was saying, I was joking.
Well, if I'm correct, and I could be wrong, but I think he was playing with the Raiders when they had Bo Jackson. And I could be wrong, but I think they had Bo Jackson and him at the same time. So then, again, you're not getting to really see how good he is. And then, he has to change numbers here. You guys see, he went from 33 to 22. And then he goes to Minnesota after this, because he played 11 seasons, and he played 8 with the Niners. He played 1 with the Raiders, and he finished his career with the Vikings. And went up there to the Purple People Eaters, and he turned his number back to 33. And, Twin, that's right. When you have people around you and they bring you up, and they talk you up, and other people aren't giving you those accolades at a certain point, you sure do want that trophy. You want that banner, the medal, the jacket. But at a certain point, your friends, your family, they're actually putting that jacket on for you. They're giving it to you. So that's really well said.
And you,
all right, guys,
let's correct. You are correct, Cope. I'm looking at his stats here, and he was there in 1991. That would have been the same time that Bo was there, as well as Marcus Allen.
Yeah,
I think was on that team too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Raiders. Hey, y'all. I gotta holler. The Raiders was just in early 1990s, man. It was something different. messing with them
Look,
daggone Raiders.
Like Mo, come
backfield.
on, like we all see the commercials on YouTube, not commercials, but like on YouTube, people taking Bo Jackson, like it's
Guys,
Bo knows.
I'm telling y'all,
Remember the Bo knows commercial?
I was trying to explain to my my chiropractor. She went up to Oregon and she said she went to the Nike facility. She said, why is everything about this guy Bo Jackson? And I'm like, girl, you have no idea. This dude was so different. He was so different. I broke out YouTube to her to show her him hitting a home run in an all-star game and then coming and running over everybody in a football game, man. He was just, it's sick. Even pros, Howie Long and the boys will tell you when this guy came in the locker room and after his shower had with a towel on, dude, it just looked different. You heard the wind run by as he's going up the sideline. It just different. That's
a man can take a baseball bat like this and just break it.
Break it. It's like Paul Bunyan.
Bo Jackson, he could play both, like multiple players, multiple positions. Really sad what happened with him. He broke his hip, and that took him out of sports. But if that wouldn't have happened, you imagine like his stats. I think he influenced Dion to go both ways, to play multiple sports. And then, you got somebody like Kyler Murray, and I don't understand why they don't let him play, multiple sports unless they're really afraid he's going to get hurt. But he's standing on a baseball mound pitching. So, I mean, unless he's not paying attention. But honestly, guys, if he was playing 2 sports, do you think he'd have enough time to play Call of Duty?
Oh God! Hey,
you slipped that one in, Brian. You slipped that one
I know,
in.
right? You stuck that one in there, and just to go back,
that's like a jab afterwards.
Hey, just to go back on that Bo Jackson note about Bo knows. Also, yeah, I remember Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, Pro Stars on the animation as well.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing too. Just like having those guys on television, on TV, the animation cartoon. That's another thing. Like, I mean, that was very transformative in that time period with those guys really taking football and using that Michael Jordan kind of flair to promote it to that next level. I don't think we had the same promotion when Roger Craig was, at that time, because if you could have promoted him to the people a lot better, I think he would have been in the Hall of Fame a lot quicker. But when you have these other different franchises able to catch a figure, Bo Jackson physique alone, like you just see him, you're like, oh my gosh, look at the quads, the gluteus maximus, the glute chain, you know what I'm saying? Like you're looking at this guy, you're like, man, this guy is shaped out of granite, you know what I'm saying? And so that helps, even though he had a short-lived career, just the look of him was amazing, you know what I mean? So just wanted to throw that in there as well.
No, man, it's always helpful, because like this, again, we're talking about Roger Craig, but we're talking about players around him during his career and how they made it to the Hall of Fame or didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. And anytime anybody can give up a cool stat like that, it's helpful. And I think this right here is going to be a lot of fun. So we got the banner down below. It says Hall of Fame, Rondé Barber, Darrelle Revis, Joe Thomas, DeMarcus Ware. Those are all defense. Chuck Howley, I'm not sure exactly where he's from, but
he played for the Cowboys back in the day, man. Chuck Howley won the, if I'm correct, it was either him or Bob Lilly. They actually won the Super Bowl MVP while losing the Super Bowl. That's how bad Chuck Howley was. He was a defensive tackle, I believe. He got the MVP. Think about this. If you watch, everybody been watching the Super Bowl for a long time. They gave the MVP to him, and his team lost. That's how bad that dude was, man. He's a bad MFer, no doubt. And I think I see that last one. Joe Klecko, he was a part of the New York Sack Exchange. It was Mark Gastineau who was the most notoriety guy driven. Mark Gastineau used to do the sack dance. He was probably the predecessor for everybody who dances on the field after a single play. But Mark Gastineau was the true Joe Klecko, man. Joe Klecko arms, it looked like they had to stuff his arm. They had to cut his jersey to get his arms into the jersey. and Ken Riley, I'm not too familiar with, but Coach Don Coryell is if y'all love, everybody loves a big arm and passes downfield. As a young man, late in the evening on the East Coast, if you just plugged in the San Diego Chargers, the Superchargers, at the end of Sunday, after you come from church, the second game on was the San Diego Chargers. Air Coryell, that was his nickname. He was the first Air. Air Coryell was airing that thing out with a quarterback named Dan Fouts, and so wide receivers named Charlie Joyner. Kellen Winslow Sr. was the tight end, and Chuck Muncie was the running back. Man, they used to put it up. I don't think they ran it maybe 4 times a game, man, but they were throwing that thing without the R. They were throwing it, and it's the Air Coryell system that gives you your numbers in the route tree. That's what people use when they say, all right, we're going to run pass right 378. Air Coryell is as far as I know, that's where the number is system. Zampese was his offensive coordinator as well. That's where that numbering system. You on the one receiver side, you're running a 3, 2 receivers. The tight end is running the 7, and the opposite end, or the X, the Z is running an 8. And he came with the numbering system, and let me tell you, they threw that thing. They threw it. 40 points a game on nothing, but he just ain't had no defense. They couldn't stop a nosebleed with a washcloth. But they were gonna put 40 up on there.
So Joe Klecko played 155 games, and he had 78 sacks. Terradome, he was born in October. You want to take a guess on the day?
It better not be the 13th or the 15th. What is it?
It's the 15th. So it's fun because, numbers are always fun to me. My daughter's born on the 14th, and isn't it Jerry Rice on the 15th?
No, Jerry's the 13th. My wife is the 15th. Okay. Yeah,
that's right. Okay,
yeah. So, those levers get in, man. That's
me and Terradome. We share some numbers right there. Yeah, I'm born on the 24th of August, and you have a granddaughter born on the 24th, right?
Yeah, little Ryan, 8/24. I'm gonna get her a jersey made, and her mother would not name her Kobe. I said, the baby is born 8/24. God is screaming to you, child. She said, no, I'm gonna name her Ryan. And then I came home, sat down, and looked at my jersey. I was like, look at God. If you take the B and the T off, her name's Ryan. Now, your little sisters used to say that back in the day. Now, God has spoken.
Well, Murphy came this close. He come this close to being named Kobe. And my wife kept on looking at me, and I'm like, well, come on, then you say Kobe Bryant, and then we're both coming, I can't, I don't know. So he came that close, but no, he's Murphy. He's awesome. But yeah, so let's look at this real quick. We have Rondé Barber. We all know about him. He had a brother, Tiki. Rondé played down there in Tampa Bay. He didn't play as long as he played. Did he play longer than Tiki? Because Tiki retired earlier, the running back. And then, I would say both of them deserve to get in, but can we say that they both deserve to get in right now? Or Craig doesn't deserve to get in. So I understand there's only so many positions for the seniors to get in, and there's because he's missed his first ballot, his first wave to get in. But that's where I would like to look at is Rondé Barber, can he go a couple more years? Does Darrelle Revis, can he go a couple more years? I know we all remember Revis Island.
Yeah, Revis was the truth, dude. They ran his stats. I was watching the Hall of Fame game, and in 2009, he held, I think it was 9 receivers to under 35 yards. And of those 9 receivers was some humdingers. It was names like Andre Johnson. It was Randy Moss. It was Terrell Owens. It was Ocho Cinco. Revis Island was serious back in 09, man. and that corner is a tough position to play. If you ever really want to experience it, go down to your basketball court.
I played it. I know what you're talking about.
Find the absolute best 17 or 18-year-old athlete and try to not let him score in a game on one-on-one going to 11. When you can do that, that's what it feels like to be a corner. They can put you in the spin cycle. And for this man to go against the best in the game, Hall of Famers, the truth receivers, Randy Moss, T.O., all of them, they are pelts on his wall. Revis was doing something special back in the day. And they ran 3 wide over to one side and let him on the island by himself. Other than Dion, man, ain't many of us can even think about a corner doing that. You wouldn't dare put your corner one-on-one with the best receiver in the game, a cat like today's version of like a Jefferson, of like a Chase, of like, but you could do that with Darrell Revis, man. And hey, little Teddy Pendergrass got his, he got his jacket.
Let's go to David, and then I'm going to finish with you. We'll go David, Corey, Terradome, Twin, and then we'll go up to Terradome. But let's hear what you say, David. Out of the list down here, could you pick one person? And it's kind of hard to know. You got to pick a senior, but let's have fun. Pick somebody on the Hall of Fame here. We all know they all deserve to get in, but who could you remove? It looks like they went defense pretty heavily in this.
Darrell Revis.
Yeah,
he could wait a little bit. He could wait. He could wait till next time. Yeah. I'm not saying he's not deserving because he was a good player, but how new he is versus like Roger Craig and someone that has been deserving of the Hall of Fame. He can wait. What's wrong with making him wait another season or two?
He was already on an island.
Yeah.
Corey, what's your thoughts? Who would you politely ask to wait, or who would you reconsider putting in right away? Joe Thomas, DeMarcus Ware. We have Chuck Howley. We have Joe Klico, and there's Ken Riley. And again, you want to move somebody else in the beginning, or Don Carell. I'm butchering everyone's name. I'm sorry, but who on this list could you say, man, you could wait maybe just a little bit? We get Roger in there.
I go Rondé Barber.
Okay.
He could wait. He's young still,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a defense back. We got 2 defense backs going in, so let's take one out for a running back in there.
Actually, 3. I think Ken Riley is a defensive back. I was seeing a little blurb on him during the Hall of Fame game. He was a Cincinnati defensive back. Chris Collinsworth really spoke very, very highly of. I don't really remember him that good, but he was a intercepting defensive back. So there are 3 defensive backs that went in there. To your point, Corey.
Okay. I didn't know who Ken Riley is.
Me either.
So maybe I should take him out of the Hall of Fame not to play.
Well, I think his birthday's tomorrow, and he passed away. It looks like so.
Yeah, it's posthumous. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I could see Rondé coming out. He could wait a little bit. Twin, what's your thoughts? We got a lot of good players here, but who could you ask to wait just a little longer?
Honestly, when I look at the young folk down there, far as compared to the older people, I just like to say, what player stands out amongst other fans? You know what I mean? If you're not a fan of that team, what player that you like, hey, that was a bad boy I hate facing. So we see Rondé, Darrell, Joe, DeMarcus, and I'm not gonna speak on Chuck because that's before my time. But I would say this: Joe Thomas. I mean, he was on the Cleveland Browns, and everybody still knew his name. So that in itself, he can't get off there. You see what I'm saying? When you got a nickname like Darrell Revis and you being compared to Dion, Champ Bailey's, Rod Woodson's, and things of that nature, you talking about the creme de la creme, in my opinion, and you talking like first team All Pros too, like multiple first team All Pros. You got Pro Bowlers, then you got first team All Pros. When you got first team All Pros, man, that means you are unanimously like the dog, the boy. So therefore, I can't take Darrell Revis off. DeMarcus Ware, his sacks, far as just how many that he had like that he got, far as being a Cowboy, coming in immediately making an impact on their team. And even as he got a little longer in the tooth, he went to Denver and he was on one of the greatest defenses that we've seen in the last 30 years because their offense was kind of slow because Peyton Manning was coming back from the injury. He wasn't what we thought he was. But to play that defense the way they played with him and a young player like Von Miller, and they create these two edge rushes that kind of really solidify them in the Super Bowl, and they finish the game, I can't take him off. And so the player that I have to look at will have to be Rondé Barber because I think he's the less of, I mean, he's a great player, but to me, he's not as magnifying as these other guys that we look at on this list. So I'll have to tell Rondé Barber, you got to take a seat. And because, you know, you got to wait a little bit longer, in my opinion, because of other guys, I just can't see anybody taking them guys taking off.
So let me throw it to this. And Sheridan, let me hear what you have to say, because I don't think I give you that chance. Who would you take off the banner, the Hall of Fame?
Well, I am so biased, y'all. I truly am. Just came off a show with Sports Laugh and Chill, and we did what's called your state greats. And you made a roster based on the greats from your state, mine being the great state of Virginia. And let me tell you, my defense was so stacked. I had Lawrence Taylor, I had Charles Haley, I had Bruce Smith, I had Willie Lanier, Ken Easley was my safety, Cam Chancellor was my strong safety. One cornerback was D'Angelo Hall, and my other one was Rondé Barber. Rondé Barber from the great state of Virginia is I think a Super Bowl MVP. He's one half of the twins. We call them just the twins around here, Tiki and Rondé. They the predecessors to the McCourties. And hey, man, the Tampa defense in the 2000s, you going, baby? Love you. The Tampa defense in the 2002 is where everything kind of originated in terms of the Tampa 2, because you had Brooks dropping back in that middle keyhole for a 3-deep zone, and Mr. Lynch, our general manager, was on that team. Warren Sapp was on that team, and man, they played D, and this kid had 10 interceptions back then in one season. And then he just acted up in the Super Bowl, man. It looked like they were just throwing it to him. He had to just take it, you know. As long as you ain't just cross the guitar, just make the catch and run in the end zone. So I'm a little bit favored to him. But as far as taking somebody off, I get what y'all are saying. There's got to be Rondé Barber, because the other guys are just so impactful. Chuck Howley out real quick. That Super Bowl MVP loss, Chuck Howley intercepted a quarterback, Johnny Unitas, in the first quarter before the Hall of Fame quarterback left it with a rib injury. And this says Howley added a second interception, and he helped force the fumble on Johnny Unitas. And I think he had 10 tackles and another sack. He won the Super Bowl MVP and lost the game. It's truly amazing. So I'm going to agree with y'all, but I got to respect Mr. Rondé Barber, state of Virginia. We call it the state of defense.
Yeah, I looked him up real quick. He did go to Virginia. And I think, you know, it's kind of sad. You know, you shouldn't be out, you know, shined by your family member or anything like that. But I think when people say Barber, they're thinking of Tiki most of the time. I think just because maybe it's New York, you know, he's getting all the, you know, the lights and stuff, right? Yeah. But I think it's interesting because who just won the Super Bowl? Tampa Bay. Where did Rondé Barber play? Tampa Bay. So is that what we need to do? And I think that would be like my next and maybe final question for the panel today is Niners win the Super Bowl. Is that going to help guarantee or give Roger the into the oh my gosh, I can't speak right now. If we win the Super Bowl, is that going to open up the door for Roger Craig? Let's start with Mr. David.
If we won that Super Bowl against the Giants, yeah. I mean, the guy would have 4 rings. It'd be like, what do you guys got?
No,
You
but
know?
what I mean is if we win the Super Bowl this year, do you think that's going to help get him into the Hall of Fame?
Hold on.
No.
1 second. I got to run out real fast. But
go ahead, Twin.
So if we win the Super Bowl, would it bring more light to us? I think that we'll get his own in there, man, because of we'll have to go through the history and the arc of it been 30 years. Then it'll be like the 1 through 5 Super Bowls, and they'll keep showing this guy over and over and over and over again for 3 of those Super Bowls. And so people will start to feel a little guilty, and they're like, oh, God, it's been that long, and this is what he did. Then you have the CMC effect if he does do something spectacular, and then they're going to say, the last person to do this was this person, and that's going to be who? Roger Craig. And so that notoriety and that type of light would kind of help propel him to go ahead and get in there. The voters kind of feel kind of bad, and so that's what I believe. But yeah, man, I gotta shake for a second, though. I did want to say thank you guys for having me on, man. Peace, love, and hot fish grease. Continue to have a wonderful Saturday, man. Enjoy this practice. Can't wait to hit y'all a little later, man. But thank you for having me.
All right, man.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you, man. Can't wait till next time, brother.
Nice to see you.
All right, Twin. Have a good one, buddy.
That was Twin Empire, everybody. He's been on before, and he's a great guy. If you guys can go check out his channel, you type it in just like that, Twin Empire, and he does things too with a lot of different 49er collaborators, content creators, and then his brother also is a big Dallas Cowboy fan, and they do a lot of work together too. And if you want to watch something really, really entertaining, and you don't mind watching other sports and listen to other teams a little bit, you get there and you check out his brother and him when they're doing a show. So shout out to Twin. Thank you very much for coming.
Awesome.
But let's go to David. And again, like if the Niners win the Super Bowl this year, is that going to help Roger? What do you think?
I honestly don't think so because, he's been on the list for some time. And for some reason, he doesn't get, well, I would say for some reason, but who's voting on it? All these guys, East Coast style, that they get most of the votes. So I think that there is some serious East Coast bias going on here. And they need to realize that the man changed the game forever. And he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame just for doing that,
True.
Yeah, I just kind of think like, you look at it, when a certain team wins the Super Bowl, then there's a lot of light and shine that happens. And maybe if it doesn't happen that first year, because like obviously Ty's right, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. But my point is Tampa Bay just won, and now they're getting one of their boys in who won a Super Bowl, who helped handily win a Super Bowl for them. So, Corey Davis, what's your thoughts? How do we get Mr. Roger Craig, Superman, into the Hall of Fame? Do the Niners need to go and just win it this year? And, if they do, is it like what everybody said? We're going to start looking at the history and say, wow, look at all these guys. And wow, look at Roger Craig here. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Plus, if man CMC wins the Super Bowl, and stuff, people gonna look and say, here's another running back that did it for the 49ers, Roger Craig. Here's CMC right here, Roger Craig. So that way, yeah. But I don't know, just winning the Super Bowl might not. I think a player would have to bring.
So you're saying if like CMC scores 3 touchdowns, yeah. All right. Yeah, I agree. There's going to have to be something that people are reminded about him, like that brings his name back into the light. So I can see that. Tear Down, what's your thoughts? How do we get this man into the Hall of Fame?
Y'all know I've been trying hard. I've made videos. I've hit up Matt Miyoko. I've hit up sports writers, everybody who handles us. And to your point, I don't think it would hurt winning the Super Bowl because the notoriety is put on you. The just being in the Super Bowl contention and being a participant that week. A station like the NFL Network will run countless marketing things, America's Game, and we've got 5 of those America's Games out there, and they're going to run stuff back, and you're going to see some nostalgia there. So it's got to be a net positive, if anything. But you know how the process works is these sports writers, and David hit it on the one, man. There is an East Coast bias that, you know, if you play in New York, this is the reason why geographically the Dallas Cowboys are in the middle of the country. Dallas, Texas is very much in the middle. They should really be the AFC or the NFC South, or they should be towards the west if you really want to be, you know, geographic about it. But it wasn't Jerry Jones, but it was the great Hank Stram that wanted it to be them in the NFC East, because he said, I'm going to be playing 2 times a year the biggest cities in the world for news and media, that being the New York Giants and the Washington football team, Redskins, back in the day. All the news, 90% of your news that comes out nationally focuses, fixates, and figures around New York and around Washington for politics and everything else, and for entertainment and money comes out of New York. So that was a marketing ploy for him to stay in the East, to be playing those 2 teams. And you know, Philly being the second city or whatever, you throw that in. So, but there is an East Coast bias of the New York Post and the Boston Globe and the Washington Post, and these are the big beat writers and the big ones that we see on television. These are the big guys that you see on Pardon the Interruption, they work for the Washington Post, they work for the New York Times, they work for the New York Post. So that being said, they have their particulars, and they have, for lack of a better term, y'all, they just done hated on the San Francisco 49ers. People say, does it bother when people hate on you? No, because I've been hated on all my life, like in the San Francisco 49ers. They don't like what we're doing. We just producing championships, producing champions, getting to NFC title games and winning. I think we got the most postseason wins in all of NFL history, tied up there maybe with the Patriots and Packers or Cowboys or whatever. But it's just undeniable. The only time you're messing up is when you're saying, well, I just get tired of seeing them there. Somebody else need to win, or this and that. And we've seen that a little bit with the New England Patriots in the last decade or so. So when you bring all that into a head and to encapsulate things, we got to be used to the hate. And I'll throw another caveat out there. Even with Roger Craig, who is the root to the fruit, the Bible says in 2 Kings 19:30, he's the root, and the fruit you're seeing are all these other running backs. In order for the greatest quarterback to ever do it, the greatest running back to ever do it, and the greatest receiver to ever do it, with the greatest coach to ever do it, to pull all of that off, there should be a minimum of 2 or 3 offensive linemen that should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Y'all can try to tell me if you're wrong, but Jesse Sapolo, Randy Cross, Guy McIntyre, Harris Barton, shout out to them as well.
You know, thank you guys, everyone, for coming and giving me your opinions and your thoughts. I think this is a conversation we really need to keep having until this man gets in. I think the only way he's going to get in is what people like you, Terradome, are doing. People like what Deanna's doing. And I think, what we're doing here together as a whole, we're making noise. We're getting the word out. His voice is relevant. Do you know when you are no longer here, you're still here? Do you know when you're not here? That's when your last time someone says your name. When your name's not spoken into existence, your time has come and gone. And that's very sad. But Roger Craig's time has not come and gone. His time will always live on in infamy and in history with the 49ers. He has really legitimately put our team on the top of the mountain. We all talk about running the hill. We know where the Niners are. We have 5 championships. We are world winners, right? World champions. And it's because of Mr. Roger Craig. So you look at that and you're like, man, why aren't you in? And I think we all nailed it. I think it's really ugly. It's sad. It's stupid. I don't really like saying stupid, but it is. It's silly, right? He's not in. We have all these other players who are in. We have all these other players that have all these records. Roger Craig, same thing. And you can't tell me, oh, he didn't get in because he went to the Raiders, or he ended his career with the Vikings. No, no, that's not. You look at Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice ended up being a Seahawk. He ended up being a Bronco. They're a Raider. But he still made it to another Super Bowl. And it's not something nice to think about, because I guess when you're looking at it and you're like, hey, that's one of my guys. I want my guy to get up there. But when you do compare your guy to someone else and you say, okay, well, the guy's not a scrub either, but why is my guy not there? And I think this is why we got to continue to talk, because until somebody comes out and says, yeah, I lost a bunch of money and I'm not voting them in, well, you don't need to be on the committee anymore. You need to step away, because one, you shouldn't be voting or betting on these guys like that. And if you lost a bunch of money, I'm sorry, somebody kissed your girl or something like that, get over it, and move on. But Roger Craig he's the man. And like I said before, I'll bring it up one more time. I think everybody needs to look at this. And, honestly, I have a friend who makes jerseys. You guys know Niner Sickness. I am going to reach out, and I don't know when I can do it, but this is my next jersey. And I like Batman. Okay, so remember that. I like Batman. But when I see this jersey, red and white, number 33, Superman, it just really it doesn't bring tears to my eyes, but it makes me feel really proud. And again, Roger Craig, he's not just a man. I'm not going to say he's an alien, but he is a Superman. And me being a big Batman fan, it's kind of hard to put Superman, up there, So I don't know, guys. Like, what's your thoughts? I mean, seriously, why isn't he there? What do we have to do other than just keep talking? I'm gonna start asking people on Twitter. You want to get together? Let's put a plane in the air and fly over Canton. I mean, I think that's the only way it's going to happen, guys. You start putting a banner on the back of that plane, people read it. They start talking about it, pointing at it. Look, there's a bird. There's a plane. No, that's Superman. So you guys remember that.
That was one of my proudest moments, man, as a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, when we just announced with full authority our discourse for what is going on. That plane over the stadium, man, that was first it was a stroke of genius, and secondly, it just showed the resiliency and the importance of fans of a team. We're partners. Green Bay, they have shareholders. You can buy shares of the team, but I tell you, man, nobody's invested like these San Francisco 49er fans, man. They're gonna let you know.
Yeah, Eddie DeBartolo, Denise. Yeah, you guys own the team. You guys literally own the team. We know, Eddie still got some says and stuff like that go into what goes on. And yes, Dr. York, you technically are the holder of the note, but guys, when we get mad, they hear it. They know it. They see it, and they see it with the ticket sales. They see it in the stadium. It's not just the heat. And the Niners, we conquer stadiums. We go with the team. When the team goes somewhere, we travel with the teams. And the Niners, they know that. So when Jed York, comes in and he's letting Kyle do what he's doing, and it's fine. Everybody needs to be comfortable and be able, hey, the boss ain't here, just get the job done. But no, when Mr. John York, Mr. Dr. York comes in, the things change. Everybody straightens up. The music gets turned off in practice. Everybody starts catching the ball. They know, because it's time to get back and quit clowning around, right? Like, let's get back to Niner football. Let's be serious and let's win some championships. And even though we haven't done it with this regime, you can see the weight. And you know, Mr. York comes in and he knows what he has to do. Eddie did this, and he needs to continue. And we've been successful. We just haven't got over the hump. And again, it's those Giants. So yeah, I want to stay away from the Giants in the playoffs as much as possible. But if we have to play them, I'm watching the game. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I'm watching, and I'm ready because it's happened before. We can beat the Giants.
We can beat them. We can beat them. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. Okay. But I just know they janky. You know, and that's just the history. And we got to fall into we got to get away from falling into, oh, well, we did that last year. It's probably going to happen the same way this year. Or we did that the year before. It's probably going to happen this year. No, man. There are oscillators and indicators. Everything is like a fingerprint. There are new etches in time, and you are the designer of your masterpiece. You got to keep painting. If you don't like how it was, paint a new masterpiece. Throw that on out. Throw it. New game plan. New day. Here it is. That's
the last couple of seasons. Yeah, the last couple of seasons they've been, doing well. The Giants have been doing well, and it's, you don't ever want to play a team that's like hot, or coming in hot, and you don't necessarily want to play a team that matches up well against you. And if Giants, they play a similar style of football with us, like we do, and they are a blue collar, team. They play nitty gritty, and they get under your pads, and it's going to be a very very physical game.
Yeah.
And everybody was saying, oh, we might be able to play the Giants, and I want to play the Giants. I was like, no. No. But if it happens, I'm gonna be there. So
yes, sir.
Guys, appreciate everybody for coming and watching. It's been almost an hour and 30 minutes. We're gonna go around the table real quick, tell everybody where you can find each other, and please check out Terradome's channel, David McNiner's channel, Corey Davis's channel. I put descriptions in later, so sometimes I'm just not as fast. You guys can always come back to the channel and check it out. If you don't know where you can find these guys, come back and check. You can hit their links there, or just listen again. Terradome, you spell it just like Terradome. David McNiner, you spell it David McNiner. Corey Davis has a great channel as well. And, you type it in Kore, because there is a C Corey out there too. I found his channel too. But subscribe, come back, do a lot of fun things. We don't always get into conversations that try to get everybody, super upset. It's the morning, we want to have good vibes, and it's Saturday. So this is a shout out to Roger Craig. I hope the NFL committee, the Hall of Fame committee is hearing us. We would like to get our boy in. He is the man. He is not a myth. He is a legend. He's Superman. That's Roger Craig. So Terradome, tell everybody, what you got going on, how we can find you, and then we'll go to David and Mr. Corey. And thank you, everybody.
I am Terradome. You're welcome to the Terradome. I usually come on in the mornings. I know it's really, really early for you guys on the West Coast, and I know y'all don't like to get up too early or whatever, but I work at night, so I get off at 7. I prep a little bit, look at the news, and I usually am on by 9 o'clock Eastern our time. I'm the morning show, and it's almost night for me. So I just come with the latest and greatest, or what hits my dome, and I share it with everybody. You're going to hear some films, family, faith, football, and most of all, what's going on with the San Francisco 49ers. That's Terradome on YouTube. I can be reached out on Twitter. I can be reached out on Instagram. I can be reached out on various fine platforms that you can find. And shout out to everybody who was on the chat today.
Awesome. Mr. McNiner, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to tell everybody about? Do you have any news or any final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts is Roger Craig has been robbed, and he needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
But when it comes to what's coming up, we got the Bryant Culp Coffee Talk tomorrow morning. We got Corey Davis's award show for the trivia on Thursday, Sunday night. And then Monday, it's Niners Coast to Coast. It's going to be on either Ty Austin's channel, which is the Stay Faithful Podcast, or Stay Faithful Podcast. That's the channel. Or it's going to be on Bryant Cult. It's going to be on one of the two. I'm going to let them fight that out. And then, we'll just, everyone's going live talking about practice, practice, not a game, practice. Shout out to Allen Iverson.
Practice.
You talking about practice.
Practice.
Not the game. Not the game. And that was on my Virginia team too. Allen Iverson, y'all. For y'all that don't know, was a really, really good high school quarterback. He was probably better at quarterback than he was at basketball at Bethel High School in Virginia.
Did he wear number 3 in high school?
He wore 10, as I can remember. The number 10 at football. I gotta think about what he wore at basketball. He might have wore 3 in basketball, but he was definitely number 10. And there's some film out there on YouTube if y'all will see Allen Iverson playing football. He was nice with it and could hit. He played a little safety, man. Allen, he's tough dude.
Thank you very much, Tony. And I'll give it to you, Corey, in a second. Tony, if you guys look over here, she's my wonderful wife. She has a show tonight at 5. And it's going to be the Ladies of the Empire, Pacific Standard Time, California time. But she has put in David's YouTube channel. It's right here.
Oh, bless you, Tony. She put mine too. Oh, thank you, Tony.
So you guys find David. It says David McNew. Then she put Corey's. Let's put Corey's up real quick. So please go just click the link, and go subscribe to their channel, please. It really helps. We're a community. We work together and we try to build each other up. Not all the time are we going to be together, but, we can still, help each other in any way we can. And then here is Terradome. So please go check out Terradome's channel too. We're all starting out. We're not super big, but we all have a lot of fun and we have big hearts. But Corey, what do you have going on for your show? And what do you have going on for your weekend? Any final thoughts on the conversation as well?
Well, my final comment, like I said, I hope this guy, tears it up this season like Roger Craig. The guy I'm wearing right here. Number 20.
Who you got on? 2-3? Oh, you got
CMC.
That 2-3. I see you. All right, CMC. I just saw that 3. Your shoulder's so broad, brother. You ain't showing me number that 3. I was like, hold on, what do you got? What do you got? All right. That's what you got to give him when you come through that hole. Give him that. Take that with you. I see.
And so I hope he has, so they could put the eyes on Roger Craig. But yes, so tune in Sunday at 7 p.m. Well, first we're gonna see the coffee show with Brian on morning. And before that, I'm sorry, I forgot. The Ladies of the Empire this evening, right?
Oh, the ladies are all right. Tony and the crew.
Yes, this evening at 5, right?
Yep.
8 Eastern, yes. So after we tune into them, then Sunday we go to the Mr. Cook Coffee Show, Mr. Brian Cook Coffee Morning Show, and then that evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 Eastern Time, you go to Corey Davis Trivia Results Show and find out who went 15-0. One person went 15-0. And one person, maybe 2 people, but I know one person needed their 49 fan card taken away from them.
Oh,
at least for a day.
Yeah.
You snatch your cards, bro. What happened? What happened? Or you want to say that for your show? Is that a tease? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause this person did bad. Want to take that fan card away from.
Oh, snatch your cards, y'all. Don't come in there if you ain't right.
No, definitely tune in. You know, Corey Davis has a great show. It's a lot of fun. You can come on the panel if you like, or you could answer in the chat. But if you do answer a bunch of questions wrong, we're going to give you a hard time. And if a Eagles fan, like how old is Spongy? 12. Shout out little Spongy, our favorite little Eagle. He's going to become a new faithful. He's actually probably already there because he knows some of these questions better than us faithful. So, you know, the little guy comes in, and if he does better than you, you might have to give your fan card up for at least a little while. You can earn it back. You come back, you can earn it back. But you got, like, when somebody says, who's number 16 on the 49ers, and you say Jim Plunkett, that's the right answer, but that's not who we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, definitely tune in. Corey's got some good questions. He's got a really fun book, and you know, it's always fun. But yeah, so guys, gals, thank you all for coming. We had a really big channel. If it keeps on, you know, popping like this, we'll try to do a cup giveaway. So tune in. I'd like to do a cup giveaway when we have at least a couple people in the chat. You know, and it's not 2 or 3. But if you're interested in coming in and winning maybe a 49er cup so you can have something to drink out of when you're watching the show, tune back in. We'll see how that works out. But thank you everybody for coming. And again, please like and subscribe, and we will be back tomorrow, and we'll just keep at it. Go Niners and stay faithful.
Go Niners and F the land.
Go Niners and F all other teams.
Go Niners. Go Niners.